What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Jake Anthony and Beyond. I'm your host, Jake Anthony, and I, in October, went beyond during the Day of the Dead, otherwise known here in Mexico as Dia de los Muertos, and it was pretty educational. I went on a little excursion with my friends Danny and Charles to a little town outside of San Cristobal, where they had Day of the Dead celebrations happening. So you can already tell by the energy of where we were walking that it is a celebration. It is truly a party mixed with a remembrance of their ancestors. It's to celebrate the crossing over to the unknown. Yes, I was called a gringo once. When I passed by a group, they were like, "Oh, gringo." Like they were spotting a wild Pokemon. We have to catch them all. Pokemon, got to catch them all. Catch them all. All the gringos. Moving on. They were very welcoming. Okay, I didn't just barge in during a funeral. I don't even think they used the word funeral or whatever the Spanish translation is. They were smiling and singing and waving at me, and I just walked right up. Like, you cannot do that in the States. You cannot walk up to a stranger's funeral at all. They will freak out on you. They will get angry at you. You know, this is completely different. Okay, these guys were the coolest guys ever.
¿Quiere foto?
¿Foto?
Sí, foto. Que grabe, sí. Una foto para nosotros,
Hola. They were sitting around under a canopy, drinking some beers, and they were like, "Come on over here." So they invited me over, and I'm like, "Okay." So they were like, they offered me a beer. I said, "No, I don't like beer."
Maybe like speak like 60, 70, I don't know, like maybe like 100% English, I don't know.
That's okay.
Yet.
But I loved the love.
English is little,
Yeah.
it's little.
Yeah,
En español es poquito.
yeah, yeah.
My English is like me too, it's little. I don't know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Because you can stay like here. Welcome.
Okay. Gracias. He wanted me to take a photo of him.
Salud! Salud!
He say like I need a picture with you.
Oh, with me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hablas un poco de español. Poquito.
After that happened, we ventured up onto the top of the mountain that we were on, and the whole top of the mountain was covered in graves and headstones and colorful little like mini houses, which were obviously used for graves. And I've never seen anything like it. It was so colorful, there's so much intention behind the way that they're preserved, such as the pine needles. The pine needles were used kind of as just a plant for rituals, but mainly to kind of establish the legitimacy of the rituals, and it kind of just through time has been used for the graveyard, or I think they call it a pantheon. And even on the floor of this church that I went to in Chamula, the whole floor was covered in pine needles, and they even had a chicken sacrifice right in front of me, which isn't your typical church. But yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of, even the specific flowers are also ritualistically used. Ritualistically? Is that a word? You see they have Coca-Cola here. They actually use that as offerings too. And here's a little interview with Danny about the Day of the Dead. Hey, this is Jake, and this is my friend LadyOnAcid, according to Instagram, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Danny. We've traveled together last week with Dakota Wint. She's very knowledgeable on the Day of the Dead, Dia de Muerto. Dia de los Muertos, Jake. Get with it. If you want to just tell us a little something about where we're at and what people are doing, and
Yes, for sure.
a little summary. Speak up, Jake.
We are currently in a little town called Sinancatlan. It's near San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas, and we come here to the main cemetery in this town, just observing the celebrations that are going on because of the Day of the Dead, El Día de los Muertos. It's for Mexicans, it's a very special day because since the pre-Hispanic era, we tend to celebrate death as a transition, as an ascension even to another state of consciousness, of living, of existence. And people still hold that tradition, even nowadays, a bit more combined with Spanish traditions, such as Catholicism and Christianism. So it's a very interesting mix of both cultures, both blended together. One very beautiful thing about this is that people gather in the cemeteries, like as we appreciate now, and they bring flowers to their loved ones, bring food, bring offerings, they make praise and bring music to remember them, to commemorate their existence in this plane, and to say goodbye as well, knowing that we are all gonna go through that transition as well. So I think it's a very special tradition, and I'm glad we got to see it in this little town.
So the passing of a loved one is more of a celebratory thing when when this day happens. So what kind of practices do they practice on this day? Like what kind of offerings, stuff like that?
So it varies a bit, depends on where we are in Mexico. Where I come from, it's very big as well for the Day of the Dead, and they do this thing called el alumbrado, which is basically when people go to the graveyards at night, and they bring candles and they bring their offerings and copal, and they stay all night in the cemetery just praying for their loved ones. And it looks beautiful because it's like the whole thing is covered in candles, and everything else is in darkness, and people is just sitting there praying in their tombs, so it's magical. And in this town it's completely different. People come here in the morning at 5 a.m. and they bring music, they bring flowers, they bring decorations, and in the afternoon they just all head down to the town, and they just celebrate with drinking alcohol, food all together. So it's interesting to see it in here as in comparison to other places where I've been before.
I was just offered a beer by the group of people over there next to a little musical ceremony.
Lovely.
Happening. They're just so welcoming, so loving. This flower right here, the orange one, it's a very significant, important flower, right, to this day.
Yes.
What's the name of them?
The Aztec name, the Nahuatl name, is Cempasúchil. In English is marigold, and they are very special for this day. They cover the streets, they cover the tombs and the houses and the offers with this flower. It has many meanings. I don't know them all, but I know it's used to guide their loved ones back to this realm for a day, for the 1st or the 2nd of November.
That's cool. awesome. And same thing with food offerings as well, right?
Yes.
You told me a couple minutes ago, I actually have I think a video or a photo of a bunch of food out on the table, and when the ancestors come to visit, you said that if you were to taste this food after their visitation, it doesn't taste like much,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
they have absorbed
The energy.
from this food. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about Day of the Dead before we go to, I think we're going to do some flower offerings?
Yes.
Yeah?
One last thing I would like to say is that I think I learned so much from this tradition, being a Mexican, and I feel like the world can learn a lot from this tradition as well, in regards to remembering that we are all impermanent in this life and that we are gonna die, and remembering that it's not something that we should be afraid of. It's something that we need to learn to appreciate and navigate, understanding that life and death are one.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Thank you, Danny. LadyOnAcid. You can follow her on Instagram at LadyOnAcid. And me as well at CJCrun. Thanks for watching. We'll probably have a couple more clips after this of us with the flower ceremony. All right. Thank you. Peace. That was great.
Woo,
That was
very
awesome.
Nice. Woohoo.
Like being up there, it really felt like I was in a different realm. You know, being around this energy that's filled with all the spirits there. I really felt like I was kind of in heaven for a second. They even had little food stands with churros and plantains, and like it was some type of little festival. This compared to the States, there would not be any food trucks. There would not be any churros or fried plantains. And there wouldn't be this much color. There's something about the magnitude of colors that they used. Just looking at the Pantheon over the mountain compared to a graveyard in the States, it's just a green field with gray headstones. That's it. They got a bunch of tents here, a bunch of chairs, a bunch of Coca-Cola, beer. They're all just celebrating, having a good time. Hey, Danny. So the Coca-Cola offerings, does anyone drink Coca-Cola, or is that more of just an offering? And is it related to like burping, purging? To refresh your memory about purging and burping, purging is a form of getting rid of unwanted energy from your body and mind. It's kind of like a physical manifestation of a spiritual cleanse. And burping can be one of the ways to do so, especially during a psychedelic ceremony where there is a medicine person or shaman looking after you, and they also purge with you sometimes. And so you can hear the medicine woman in the combo video I have. She actually burps quite a bit while I'm going through the motions of having the combo throughout my body.
I think it's just a myth about the burping. In small villages, especially in Chiapas, people are very religious and have lots of beliefs, and they think it's something healthy, like it's just something, like it's like a purge, but it's not really truth. And Coca-Cola is a big industry that benefits from that marketing, which I find it terrifying, because Mexico, I think, is one of the biggest consumers of this awful drink in the world. And we see so much rubbish everywhere provoked by this company.
Yeah. There was actually a lot in the cemetery. Pantheon.
Crazy.
The offering? Why Coca-Cola as an offering? You know?
I feel, well, they tend to give their dead ones the things that they used to enjoy in life. So a lot of people drink Coca-Cola. They used to drink Coca-Cola as well. So that's why they do it. But I find it really, really sad, to be honest.
That was a fun little interview. I never really interview people. Something I kind of want to do in the future. So thanks again, Danny, for for doing that. And so after that, we went to the market, got us some marigold flowers, and headed back to our place and set up a little altar with different flowers and fruit offerings, and we even lit some candles and wrote a little note to our ancestors. I wrote a note to my granddad thanking him for visiting me during my ayahuasca trip. Again, this was really weird, happening, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks after my ayahuasca experience. Something was just telling me that I need to reconnect with my ancestors. And so these events that happened were like very clear to me that this was really supposed to happen for me. I guess that's all. Thanks for watching. Visit Mexico during the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. If I could say it right, Dia de los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos. De los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram at cjakerun and Danny at LadyOnAcid. And also, she has a Spotify. She's also a singer, musician. You can follow her on Spotify at LadyOnAcid as well. Which I'll end this video with one of her songs, and hope you enjoy it. And I will see you in the next video. Much love to you. Much everything, because you are everything.